So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the introduction. Like I said, y'all know who I am. I'm Dr. Tiffany Ross, the person y'all been hearing from. So we'll start in order from our lovely, lovely, lovely order of the invites that has been going out of the what do you call them? The invites that's been going out with to let you know who your panelists will be. Like I just had my brain just went dead for a minute. So we'll start with Kendra, because I believe Kendra was the very first one that I did. So Kendra, will you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Kendra Tate. What else do I say? I'm here in Hattiesburg. I know Tiffany from my days at the Hope Clinic. And yeah, that's about it. That's
Well,
all I
welcome, Kendra. Okay. And Kimberly's not the next one. Nicole is. Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I am Nicole Givens. I have 4 sons. I just believe in empowering women, and that includes allowing women to rest.
Yes. Love that. Thank you and welcome, Nicole. And the next lovely participant is Kimberly.
Hello, you guys in Facebook land. Am excited to be here with you guys and share some very important and vital information for our African American women. My name is Kimberly Barnes. I am originally from Toulouse, Louisiana, a current resident of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And my expertise, I guess, would be the area of mental health and the role it plays in minority lives. So welcome, and I hope you guys get something from this roundtable discussion. Thank you.
Awesome. And last but not least, and oh, my computer just did some crazy stuff. Well, let's go here. There we go. Last but not least is the lovely Katrina Martin. Katrina, are you here? Katrina? We may have lost Katrina, guys. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Katrina. Maybe she'll hop back on. I know she was having some technical difficulties. But if you had the opportunity to read all about who Katrina is, or a little bit a snippet, she's done amazing work. She works with anything from education to being a counselor, to being a mother. She has 4 children. She's kind of like me. She got 2 older ones and like 2 younger ones at home. But she's a phenomenal person, and I hope she'll be able to kind of chime in. I'm not sure what's going on with her stuff, but hopefully she'll be able to chime in. So can you guys see me?
Yes.
Can you guys see me? Okay, so we'll jump right in. Let me pull up my lovely questions here so that we can get started. So the way we're going to do this on tonight, I have a list of questions in no particular order. Not asking, I won't call on a particular person. So as you feel that you want to express your answer to the question, that's kind of how we'll do this. So let's start with this one. So can you guys tell me, what is your personal definition of a strong Black woman?
Well, I'll start. I don't have a personal definition per se. I just think strong Black woman is a lot of things, but one thing that it should include is vulnerability. Like, you can be strong, but you should have a place where you can be vulnerable. You should have a place where you can rest. It's okay to be strong. So this is not about saying that being strong is wrong, or that anything is wrong with it, because a lot of us had to be strong. There was no other way, for us to survive because we were in survival mode. But my downfall came with feeling like I define myself as someone that I could never turn it off. I always had to put on a brave face. Even when I was being torn down, I always had to put on a brave face. So I don't want to dive into the other questions answering that, but that a definition of a strong Black woman, we can go on, but I like to talk about what it should include because that's what I felt like I never had was a place to rest, being allowed to rest. And these are things that other people don't even see. They just see you going and going and going. They don't know that you don't feel like you can rest, that you got to be strong, that you got to do this, that you got to do that, because you've already, I'll use an example. You've already had been a teen mom. You've already had children out of wedlock. So you have to be strong. You have to do everything else. You have to do everything you can all the time. Absolutely no rest. It's almost like it's a punishment, you know, like it's a punishment. Like, no, you get up, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And it's a subliminal message to us. No one sits down and tell us, okay, you got to be strong like you had children. You can't rest. You can't take a nap. You can't be vulnerable. It's subliminal.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's what we see, you know. So
Yeah.
I think, and I want to piggyback off of that, off of what Nicole said, because that is so true. And for us, this is something that's passed down from generations, not just within our family, but society. Everyone looks at us, and because of the role we played in slavery and, you know, just being there, having to, and I don't, you know, want to just dive back into the past, but that's where it starts, you know, being this slave, or, you know, and being in the house, having to cook and clean while being mistreated, and still supposed to carry out those duties with, you know, with honor. And so that's instilled in us, and our families preach that, you know, we even preach that, but we don't really let people know, like Nicole said, it's okay to be strong. And there, you know, and we don't look at the gray area. And I feel like that's the issue for a lot of us, because when you even look at the definition of what strong means, it means to have power. Everything, in order to have power, it's got to be charged, right? You know, we don't charge our phones.
Right.
We can't use it if we don't, you know, put gasoline in our cars to fuel it, to give it power. We can't use it. But so how do we expect to continue to go and have power to do things and be super mom and be, you know, the employee and be all these different things without first fueling our bodies and taking care of ourselves?
Yeah. That's so important. I remember when I was sitting out, I don't even know why I was sitting out in my car at my job. And I was just looking and I was like, oh my goodness, I work somewhere where I can facilitate or help facilitate women to, or I'm in a place, let me back, where women can come and it's safe for them to be vulnerable. It's safe for them to admit that, hey, yeah, I may keep up this strong face on the outside, but on the inside, I'm dying. And when I realized that I never had that, like being a teen mom, you know, and being pregnant at 15, it's like, I told my husband, I said, I don't think I remember, and Nicole and I had this conversation, anyone ever stopping just to ask me, are you okay? Like, no one stopped to ask. They just assumed, hey, she's okay. Never mind, she just had a baby at 15, or she's pregnant at 15 and she don't know what she doing. And like, everyone just assumes that you're okay. And honey, I wasn't okay. Like, all the fruit of my life said she's not okay. Like, something really going on with this girl. But no one ever stopped to ask me, you know, am I okay?
And that's just go ahead. They expect you to be okay. Even in, I notice in my counseling profession, when people experience grievances and lose family members, or, you know, just different things happen, the first thing I hear people say, and it bothers me to my core, is, well, you got to be strong. Says who? Who am I being strong for? You know, and even as a kid, you hear people telling you, you got to be strong for your mom and you got to be strong for this person, but what about me? And I think that's important that we all understand that all of our lives matter. You know, I'm just as important as my mom. I'm just as important as anybody else experiencing this, because we don't know what that looks like for everybody else, you know, and we can't expect, oh, because it was the this to that person, that it's not serious to me too. So
That's good. That's good. Anyone else want to tackle that? Katrina just joined us back, but we're tackling the definition, or our personal definitions of strong Black woman.
I was listening in on the phone lines while I was trying to get back in, and that's the thing I heard you say about nobody ever asking you if you was okay being a teen mom, and I think what tends to happen is, especially coming from a family that I came from, my mom was a teen mom. She didn't tell me. I kind of figured out later on that she was a teen mom. And I don't think anybody ever asked her. So it kind of trickled down where she didn't ask me if I was okay. It was like, okay, you're just going to pick up where we are. I'm just going to keep on moving. Like nothing happened. We have an extra person and they just appeared. And it was similar, something like that. But I never got that. I never got, are you okay? What do you need from me? Where is the breakdown in communication? Did I fail? What happened? I never got any of those questions. And it was like everything was my fault regardless from that point on.
Yeah, yeah. And what about and this is not one of the questions, but I kind of want to follow it up with, what about now? How do you, as being women now, how do you make sure that you're still not carrying on that face of strong Black woman when you know inside you're just not that at all? Or do you?
Oh, that's a real good one. That right there is because if you can't show that you're strong, there is that air of weakness. And you don't ever want to be seen as weak, because once you're seen as weak, people already take advantage on top of the things that we already deal with. So it's like, okay, I can never take this mask off a lot of days. And I've struggled with that. I've struggled with that up until a few years ago. And I literally was like, I literally have to take this mask off because I'm dying. I'm literally dying. And it was to the point where I was at a breaking point, and somebody just took the time and said, hold up, what's going on? What's wrong? And I told her, I don't know. I had that break. I didn't know.
I'll add to that. And it's honestly, Katrina, like what I found is that people take advantage of the strong person, because they take advantage of you in so many different ways. They take advantage of you. They dump all their stuff on you. They dump, everything from their rage, their jealousy, their insecurities, they dump all of that on you. So they take advantage of the strong person because, oh, she's strong, she can handle it. So when I just finally broke, I put a lot of space in between me and those who have caused me so much emotional pain. I put a lot of space there, but it was still hard for me to say, I was depressed. And really, I was just like, I was tired. I was beat down emotionally, and depression, it just creeps in. And my defense mechanism was to run. And the last time that I ran, I faced everything. I didn't try to leave everything behind. At the end of 2018, I faced everything while I was running away. But I put the distance that was needed between me and the people that kept on. I'm not Harriet Tubman. I would never try to be. I'm not saving a bunch of people no more that don't want to be saved. I'm not going to even try to save you if you don't want to be saved. I'm here for the people that need me and that will not take me for granted, that will see my weaknesses, that I'm allowed to be vulnerable with, that I'm allowed to be strong in all of me, but all of me includes my weakness, my vulnerability. Like when I'm tired, I met some friends for breakfast on Sunday morning. And when I sit at the table, she said, "What's wrong? You so heavy." I need that. Those are the people that I have around me now. And those are the only people that I have around me now.
Yes. Yes. I went on that purpose. Um, that's why this Black Coffee Casualty kind of fell in my lap. But this year has been a personal journey for me. It's me dealing with my own, and I made a post about it just kind of briefly, dealing with my own issues of carrying on that mask of being strong and not giving myself permission to grieve, and not because I lost somebody, but really grieving the old me and
Mm.
learning how to redefine this new Tiffany who shows up at the table. Because for a long time I just didn't show up at the table, and if I was, I was not as vocal. But just giving myself permission to just be me. Like if I want to fall apart, then I'm gonna fall
You can fall
apart.
apart. That's
I
right.
don't really care at this point in time in my life if anyone else creates that space for me. I'm going to create that space for myself because I'm not perfect
That's,
and I'm not strong all the time. And I'm tired of people viewing Black women as being the strong ones. Because yes, that definition does tie back to slavery. And
falling apart will save your life.
yes,
Falling apart will save your life.
yes,
Sometimes you have to fall apart to
yes,
save yourself. And
yes,
when all you have is your breath, and it saves your life.
yes,
Falling apart will save you. And we have to know that we can fall apart, we can get back up, and we can fall apart again if we need to. And we
yeah,
can cry and we can laugh and we can do whatever it takes to get us through this journey. But being strong all the time and not being vulnerable and not having a place to rest is not the answer. And that's what I hope we break down in this tonight for people who feel like they have to always be strong. And and I want to add this because I had a conversation 2 weeks ago with a guy that I've known his whole life, because he's younger than me. And he said, "I know you're on this strong Black woman thing, but it's hard out here for us too." And I have to say this for the men that's watching, this is not against you. It's for us. I have 4 Black sons and a beautiful grandson and so many nephews. I I'm for you too, but this is for us, but it's not against you. Being for me is not against you. I hope that this facilitates in your understanding of everything that we're made up of, because a lot of men want a Black woman, but they don't know how to care for a Black woman. And that's not hate or anything. That's just the truth.
yeah,
Like it's just the truth, because we were doing everything that we saw done, and so the men are too. They're not carrying their weight because they have not seen a man carrying their weight. So this is for all of us. Actually, it's for us, but I hope that it can help a man that's watching understand that we get tired. At the end of the day, we get tired, emotionally tired, and it shows up on us physically. But I think that's a question that we're coming into.
yeah, yeah.
And I want to add though, because we put a lot of emphasis and a lot of responsibility on other people to give us permission. Like we have to take that back. We have to stop expecting people to ask us how we are and just demand, look, I'm not doing okay. People will come to you because they know, oh, well, I can always talk to her. But if you're dealing with your own stuff, you have to be able to stop and say, look, I I love you and I care about you, but right now I got my own stuff going on. Because if we don't demand that respect and time and permission, like you were saying, Tiffany, to take care of ourselves, no one else is gonna want to. I mean, because they feel like, oh, well, you're allowing me to, and you are. So it's not their responsibility to assess or respect your level of strength. You have to be able to know when enough is enough. We have to be able to be okay with saying, today is just not a good day for me. Today I'm feeling down. Today I'm feeling low. And stand in that and not back down and not give in because somebody just really needs us right now. Because we're so used to being somewhere everywhere for everybody, and then we neglect ourselves. I mean, even when you're on an airplane, they tell you if something's happening to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Even if you have kids sitting beside you, you cannot take care of your kids. You can't be anything for anybody unless you take care of yourself first.
Yes. And it's not
I
selfish
agree.
to do that.
No, it's not selfish to do that. And that's what I'm saying. We have to understand that it's not selfish to do that. And but as in my experience, when I took my cape off, I was called selfish.
Hmm.
Well, you know, but as long as I was strong and I was breaking down and I'm an open person, we're all adults and bleeding to death. No one knew that I was bleeding to death, but I was selfish when I had to take my cape off.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
we have to be okay with that, because as long as you know the reason and the purpose behind your actions, it's okay how somebody else may perceive it. We're not living for them. We're living for ourselves. And I
But
think, go ahead, Katrina.
it's different when that's been beat into you.
It
Like,
is.
I was telling Tiffany, I was like, you know, a lot of things that I took on. One thing, I'm a middle child. It's true. It's real. That middle child syndrome. I'm gonna tell you, I'm her. But then it was always something about me, and everything was like focused on me. So when something went wrong, it was either me, or if something needed to be done, it was like, it's Katrina. And I took on that and I internalized that for a long time, until I was to the point like I was imploding. And I've done counseling, I've done therapy. I had somebody had to point that out to me, and it was like, look, I didn't see this because this person that I went to at first knew me through school. And so he was like, I would have never thought that, because for one thing, I carried it so well. You know, and so it's like I carried the weight, but I was neglecting me, trying to be everything for everybody else, because that's how I thought I was supposed to be. And then I was pining for attention from people that meant that to me, and I wasn't getting that. And so I had to come to the end of that rope, and him saying, look, you're going to have to be what they weren't. And can you do that? Then you're going to have to learn how to set up boundaries. That was the hard part, because them peoples was family.
Okay.
And so it gets hard when it's somebody that close to you.
Yes. Yeah. And giving yourself permission to be okay with their response. Because they don't always take it well. They don't. They don't. Kendrick.
So I just want to add, well, I'm young. I'm like 24. I'm figuring all this stuff out today. So yeah, I definitely want to piggyback off Kat. Like, definitely, like, just I'm coming to realize that I don't have to help everybody. I ain't got to be everybody's anything. If I'm not okay, I'm gonna go take my nap. I'm gonna go do what I need to do. I'm gonna go mind my business. And it's becoming something that I'm definitely being okay with now, because I was heading toward a direction where I was trying to be everybody's savior, but I'm not Jesus. I'm supposed to be like Jesus, but I'm not Jesus, and it's okay.
Amen. That's good.
Good. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm going to move on to the next question. So, do you think it's unhealthy? I think we kind of tackled on it a little bit. Unhealthy to view Black women as strong. Why or why not?
I think based on the definition or the concept of how people see strong, it is unhealthy. My idea now, like, when I think of strong, I don't necessarily think of what people stereotype as weak to be weak. So, like, going to counseling, getting therapy, being vulnerable, I don't see that as weak. I see it as strong, along with carrying something well, without it being like, um, without it being such a opposite end type of thing. So, in the concept of how people probably see it, yes, it is unhealthy.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of that, because it is. And And it's like people will give themselves permission to put that weight on you. And it's like, okay, like it was said, oh, she can handle it. Nicole, I think you were saying that like people dump things on a strong person because she can handle it. She's gonna be okay. And I remember hearing that, saying she's gonna be okay. And I remember the last time hearing that from a friend of mine. And y'all, I ain't gonna tell y'all what I did to him, but it wasn't Christian. But that, and people look for you to be that savior, and you're not. And Kendra, I commend you as being young coming into this, because it took me a little bit longer, and it's caused some sleepless nights. So that's the unhealthiness, because it comes on with physical aspects and everything. You'll have physical ailments. I pray myself to sleep right now because of some of the things I kept carrying, trying to be this strong person and not taking care of me. So now it's like, okay, it's either you or who gonna be here for these kids. So it's very unhealthy.
I agree, and I agree with both of you guys. Kendra, it's awesome at your age to have that perspective. Like I wish, but we all have our journey. But like you said, it's unhealthy based on some aspects that flow through our community. You know what I mean? Like strong is powerful. We understand that, and we understand our power. But we also need to have an understanding that flows through our community that strong doesn't mean that you carry the load of everything and everyone at the detriment of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, if anyone want to respond to that question, all clear? Because I'm gonna go to the next one, because I feel like it's a good leeway into it. Have there been a time in your life or someone else's life that you know of when just that term, the strong Black woman, backfired?
When you say backfired, you mean when you were not okay?
When you observe them not being okay, even though they may have carried this title of being strong.
I have several friends where I see how that backfired and it showed up on them in their life physically, you know. So I've seen it and I knew what I was looking at, but I was not at a place where I could say, take your rest. It's okay if you're not able to do all of this, if you're not able to, take this on, get a divorce, let the kids go with their dad, or, let their grandparents keep them. Like, I knew what I was looking at, but I was not in a place where I could tell them, what I was looking at. So, and I saw them, like kind of crumble physically.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have witnessed the downfall in backfire, if per se, of someone trying to portray that strong person again, because like we've already discussed, you end up putting up a facade. Like there, you can't just be strong 24/7. And what people fail to realize is that suppressed emotional issues result in physical issues. Stress leads to heart attacks, strokes. There is no way to endure so many things throughout your life and never have to deal with it and think you can just bury and move on with all this baggage and never see it again. It's impossible. You will see it and you'll end up paying for it eventually. So my take is always handle it in the beginning so it doesn't get that bad. No one wants to see anything happen to ourselves or our loved ones, but the true fact of it all is that it will, if we don't take care of ourselves emotionally and mentally, we will start to break down physically.
Absolutely, we will. And I know we've all witnessed that. Witnessed, um, we've all witnessed people at a young age having stroke, being diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, and we credit it to genes. You know, it runs in the family. Well, it stops here,
Yeah.
you know, and we have to, you know, call these things out. And we are leaders. We are leaders because the reason I say we're leaders is because we're in it, and we know that we can rest. We knows what it looks like to be strong for everyone else and not strong for ourselves, meaning to take the time out, to take the days off. I never thought it would be a day that I turn my phone off, but I do. Even with four sons in different parts of this country, I turn my phone off and I get some rest at night.
Absolutely. Mine
You know,
stayed silent.
yeah,
And,
yeah. So
and so somewhere around this year, I was like, that's bothering me. I'm turning it off. So
yeah.
choose when I answer my phone or respond to texts. So yeah, hey, we making progress. So here's a topic that I feel like is very relevant because a lot of you guys talked about like those symptoms that we see on the outside, like the anxiety and depression, and not setting those boundaries, you know, in your life. When I have to bring this up just because I feel like we need to address the topic of generational trauma and trauma in the Black community, specifically for Black women. Can any of you expound on that, on what that looks like in our community for women?
I have to keep going first. But generational trauma, do you mean, um, okay, I'll say this. On my mom's side of the family, and not trying to offend anyone, but it's still the truth. So if it does offend you, then do something to change. But nonetheless, I will say there's a phrase on my mom's side of the family, oh, you just like your mama. And they say it in a degrading way. It's the men that say it. And what they don't follow with, she chose sorry being as fathers of her children too. Because they can't say that, because then that might be a reflection of them, because what if they are something like their dads? They can't, so they would choose to, the generational trauma is to blame your mother for everything your dad didn't do. And men will do one of two things. They're going to correct the behaviors of their father, or they're going to repeat the behaviors of their father. And I have seen the men in my family treat their mother like their dads did. And this is a trauma. It's not called out. I'm not scared. My phone don't ring anyway. You know, I'll talk about it. So, and if it rings and I don't want to talk to you, then, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being blocked on Facebook and all of that, because it's time. Like, I have a grandson now, and I do not want that passed on to him. So it is time for us to heal that. So that's personal for me. That is a generational trauma, because it led to me being strong. You know, it led to me patching up things. It led to me not pursuing child support and taking on the weight of raising my children alone, and getting married just for financial support and being miserable, but putting on a face for my boys. Only after the divorce, they say, we knew you weren't happy, mama. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that trauma, that generational trauma / curse, whatever you want to call it, led to me making some very unhealthy decisions and being strong when I didn't need to be. And as I said earlier, you already had the children, you know, you were already young, you already struggled, so you couldn't do anything else wrong. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to hear that no more. You just like your mama. I didn't want to hear that again, but I did. And it's okay. It's okay with me now. You know what I mean? Because I call that out. If I see one of my mama baby daddies and they say something wrong to me, I tell them about themselves. I do.
Yeah.
And that's part of my strength that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's not going anywhere. So that right there was just really, really hard for me. It was hard for me because I admired some of the men, on my mom's side of the family. I really did. Um, and so it just hurt to know that their idea of women was so just dark, to
Yeah.
say the least.
But
So,
Nicole, and they got that image came from somewhere, and that
oh,
leads,
absolutely.
and because we don't, again, we're passing down that label of strong and strength. Our ancestors dealt with their traumas. Well, had traumas because they didn't deal with it. It was all, well, you pray, you go to church, and then that's it. We just miraculously
Pray it away.
we are
Yeah.
healed.
Yeah, yeah.
But even in the Bible, God says faith without works is dead, but we won't go there.
Okay.
But yeah, so and children
Church.
are right. Children learn behavior. Whatever is
Absolutely.
modeled for them, that's what they will do. So, when we look at the things that our parents did and they're passing that stuff down to us, whether it's the way we discipline our kids, whether it's the way that we tend to our homes, it's all learned because they learned it from their parents, and it's all just passed down, and no one in the equation is equipped at that point to really do anything to change it. When you're a kid, you can't say to your mom, I don't think you should be this isn't a healthy way to discipline me. You can't say that because then that's talking back. And then you're getting a whooping. So
Oh, yeah.
it's carried down to us. And then luckily at some point it gets a chance where somebody have this awakening and it's like, okay, I can't continue to repeat this, because just because that's how they did it doesn't mean I have to continue this with my family and my offspring, because it will continue until someone has the courage to stop and be able to set those those boundaries and say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you. I think it was when I was in grad school, and Kim, you'll know this, when we had the assignment to do a genogram, which is just kind of like a family map. And I had to go back and talk to some of my older family members and just trying to get that family history. And when I tell you the number of women in my family that have been raped, and I'm like, and I'm talking about childhood sexual molestation, rape, and I'm like, here I am over here struggling because I done been raped several times, but no one knew about it because that family secret of, oh, something happened to you, don't tell nobody, or you don't, you keep all that bottled in. But to realize that all of this has been passed down from generation to generation, and this stuff just keep happening, I said, oh no, not with me, not with me. And that was like 3-4 years ago when I decided to stand up and just really stand in my truth and tell my story about being raped 4 times, but just that generational trauma, because out of that came, oh well, you blame the girls for the
Oh,
rape,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely, it's your fault.
or you have to act a certain way around.
Dress a certain way.
Yes, yes. Or it's all on the girls. That shame is all on the girls, whereas guys are just being guys. Men
And
are
what
just,
hurts the most is when women do it, like when women victimize women who, and I don't want to go into that because I'm going to go real personal with someone in my family that it's so, that part that I'm still working on that, because it just this person just did some really, really hurtful things, but at one point as a teenager claimed to be a victim and almost destroyed some people's lives, but then choose to victimize women because I don't even know. All I say is evil.
Well,
But
because hurt people hurt people.
yeah,
there's, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Hurt,
Kimberly.
that's why hurt people
Thank
hurt
you.
people. And if
Thank
she
you.
hasn't healed from whatever's going on in her life, then it's inevitable. It happens.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and, and that's the answer for why that person did whatever, is because hurt people. And until we're able to, again, reach down deep and really openly deal with our own hurts, we'll continue to hurt other people because we're hurting. And, you know, we want people to be like us, and because we can, you know, I feel outcasted when I'm the only one hurting. So then I selfishly put this other person in a situation to feel hurt as well. So then we can bond over something. And it's most unhealthy thing in the world, but it's what happens. Hurt people hurt people.
That's true. And Nicole, what you was talking about, like within families, I was telling Tiffany the other day about something that was very personal to me. And something that happened with me was, she's a liar. Like my reality didn't happen, and it was for years I kept telling the same story. But I had even said to the I was like, did something happen to you? And I was young when I said this, because what happened to me, I think in a sense led to my pregnancies. And then the decisions after that, because it was like, oh, I guess this is what's supposed to happen. Oh, okay, I guess this is just part of life. Oh, I can't talk about it. But I was like, with anything else, it was part of me that was steadily dying because I couldn't share my truth because I was a liar. And I was fabricating all these things. But I got to the point with my older kids that me being hurt, and I remember my son used to say things like, you think you know everything. No, but I've lived a lot longer than you did. But I created what I called the circle when they were younger. And anything that they felt like they couldn't talk to their mother about, they brought it to the circle. And I could not be their mother, meaning I had to be as objective as I could. And it had to create a whole nother sphere for us in order for us to get through that. And I think that's what kind of saved us, because I could have went through that period of that generational trauma that I went through, not having a voice, not having somebody believe me, not having somebody say, okay, she's probably telling the truth. Something is going on with this child. And I gave that to them. And I remember apologizing to them when they got older. Like, if I made any mistakes, if I did anything that caused you to feel like you weren't a person, that you weren't loved, that I wasn't listening to you, I said, I'm sorry. And I just poured out to them. And people was like, you're crazy. I was like, no, I gave them the fact that I was a child. Raising children, and I was trying everything not to do to them what was done to me, not to hurt them the ways I had been hurt, but to at least give them something, some sustenance as what a mother could be or how a mother should, because I didn't have real good examples. And I tell people that now. I don't shame anybody about that, because my upbringing, my mom and them dealt with whatever she dealt with. She ain't deal with it. It's still dealing with her to this day. And I'm still praying for the deliverance for her. But I had to get to that point. And look, I had to cut her off at one point. Like, okay, I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance. Because over here, me and mine, we're gonna continue to walk this out. I forgive you. And I have to take that forgiveness every day. It's every day for me. But my children, they're mine. And from me on down is where I'm like, look, we gotta break this.
It's a wrap. It stops with you. Same here.
That's how you do it. We have to realize that our kids do have a voice. You know, so many times when we were younger, and I know I'm not the only one, where, you know, your parents said something that just goes, you know, but you don't know how what you said has affected your child. And we need to be able to enforce that for our kids and stop silencing them. Because if they can't voice how they feel with their own parents, then how can we expect them to go out in the community and
creating victims?
Exactly. We're creating children that become adults that allow people to run over them, tell them how they're going to feel and what they're going to do without batting an eye. And we can't do that, because that's what's wrong with so many of our young boys and our young girls. They just take everything. They don't know how to put their feelings in the words. So many, and I deal with kids on a daily. And the moment they come in my office, I'm asking, well, how you feel today? I don't know, some kind of way. What is some kind of way? These babies don't even know how to give you an emotion word to describe how they are feeling. And that to even accept, because I'm teaching my 4-year-old, he'll walk around and say, I'm sad, I'm mad, and say who did it and why. But but those are the things, because I want him to be comfortable. I don't care if you're a boy, girl, we tell them toughen up, be tough, and we can't do that. They have feelings. They need to be able to communicate, because that's what happened with us. And again, that's that transference of that generational trauma. It's okay to verbalize how you feel. It's okay to talk about when someone's hurt you, and me not be in my feelings about it, because I'm an adult and I can accept that. I can hear when I'm wrong, and I think a lot of people don't want to put themselves in a position to be able to accept their own faults.
Yeah.
But I commend you, Kat, on that, because that's
yeah, I do too. I did that with my boys as well.
Yes, that y'all, kudos, because I'm telling you, we need to raise our children to have strong voices, and I feel like they have to be doormats, and regardless of what environment they're in, whether they're in a corporate environment, whether they're in their own homes, educational, they have a voice, and it matters.
Yeah. And unless it's like some kids that I raised, I'm not gonna say which ones, that go to the opposite end of the spectrum and always vocalize even when they shouldn't vocalize.
And we got to teach them the right way and the wrong way, but hey, it's
they just strong will. I got one of them.
Woo. Yeah. Guys, I've enjoyed this discussion. We're like at 9:00. I have a couple more as we wrap up that I want to make sure we touch at, and then we'll get some Q&A from the audience. So I go through the last one. What are some of the things that we typically see when we know a woman is dealing with generational trauma, or we know that they're dealing with issues on the inside that they're trying to hide or mask on the outside? What are some coping mechanisms, healthy or unhealthy, probably more so unhealthy related to this question, that we typically see when we see a woman that's struggling?
I've seen unhealthy relationships with food, alcoholism.
Unhealthy relationships with food. Talk about that. I think that needs to be talked about a little bit more.
We all have a relationship with food. I mean, food is, fuel. However, we don't pay attention to what's eating us that causes us to eat and crave, things. And like when you want sweets all the time, you really need vegetables. It's learned behavior some, because people will say, well, she's going to be big, it's in her family. No one has healed. That's what's in her family.
Yeah.
No one is talking. That's what's in her family. So we have and being mothers, I'm not talking about the roles we play and we grab food here and there. I'm talking about sitting in your bed eating all the time. You know what I mean? I'm talking about
burying your emotions.
Yeah, I'm talking about avoidance. The same thing. I have a cousin. Every time I see her, she's drinking. I know she's dealing with something. As I've gotten older, I know more about my family and their immediate family, that I get why she drinks all the time. You know what I mean? Because I've learned a little bit more history about the place I grew up in called Pelahatchie. An older lady called it Sodom and Gomorrah. So that may give you an idea of where I grew up. But so I get it. But I've seen those coping mechanisms, I see weariness. You know what I mean? I see people avoiding themselves by always taking on other issues. Busyness. They get busy in the church. They get busy. Their kids are grown, so they raise their grandkids. Busyness is a sign that someone is avoiding something, as well as overeating or drinking too much, or in business. Yeah, exactly. So business comes like, just because someone is always at the church and doing this and doing that, they're avoiding something.
Yeah.
Something they don't want to feel. And then we use religion as an excuse to not go to therapy.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. It's a girl that posts on Facebook all the time. And when you give her advice and tell her to see a therapist, she say, I'm just going to pray about it.
Faith without works is dead.
And typing on Facebook is not work.
No.
That's not the work.
And
You
a
know?
lot of people on Facebook not gonna give you some good information or advice.
Exactly. So, you know, and it's you putting your business out there for a reason. It's a cry for help. But the one wrong response that you get, then you turn it off and you say, I'm just gonna pray about it. But you really are crying for help. You know what I mean? So I see it coming out in a lot of different ways. Like, you know, I can look at a person's skin and say she is not, you know, or something like, and I want to know what's going on. I went to a friend's house, big, beautiful house. Things were all over the place. Before I unpacked, I sat down and I said, what's wrong? What's going on? I asked her, I said, what is going on with you? You know what I mean? Like, this is not, I know this is not you. So what's going on with you? When did this start? And that opened up a whole night of conversation. We were supposed to go somewhere in Houston. We didn't even go because we sat on the couch and talked about what all of this disarray was about. So we just have to, like, those that we are friends with, we have to be a friend. You know, and that's what I've always tried to be with my friends. I haven't always been as open because of the wrong idea of strength that I had. Now it's totally different. You know what I mean? And my friends are way, way more open with me too. I mean, they were already like talk to me about things, but now it seems like it's just different, you know, another level. And so I'm grateful for that. But I see it happening, Tiffany, in all of those ways: business, alcoholism, obesity,
promiscuity.
Yeah, just
That's where I was going.
Promiscuity is definitely something that where I grew up, you fast or something like that, but it's you promiscuous. And I see a lot of women who were labeled as that growing up on Facebook, and they still deflecting from themselves by talking about other people.
Yeah.
And so I just see them as unhealed. And I do pray that they will do the work so that they can be who they were put here to be. But when I see you, you know, talking about other people, posting degrading pictures of other women and stuff like that, like I say, okay, she's deflecting from who she used to be because she hasn't healed what caused her to be who she used to be, you know.
And that's an issue, especially in the young community, because, you know, they post the half naked pictures and, you know, for all these likes. Well, but what they're really searching for is that internal, like, to feel wanted and loved, but they don't know how to go about getting it because, again, that generational curse, again, children learn what they live. So if I'm living home and watching my parents in this abusive relationship, or, you know, so then I have this faulty image of what love's supposed to look like. If I see my parents going from person to person, then again, I have this faulty image of what love is supposed to look like, or what a healthy relationship looks like. And so then that behavior is repeated. And what they're really searching for is just for someone to accept them, someone to love them. And they don't know how to say that. They don't know how to verbalize that because they look at having those 100 and 200 likes on Instagram or Facebook as, oh, they like me. And that's not what it means. But, you know, that's definitely an unhealthy coping skill for a lot of our young people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with like you saying, those likes and stuff, attention. That was my whole thing. And I knew it when I started seeing it in myself, and I was like, hold up, something right here. But I saw it. My mom loved attention. And I didn't like I got to the point where I didn't really like that kind of attention because I did have a shape at a young age, but I started dressing like a little tomboy because I didn't like that attention. But it was just like, okay, I'm getting it. And then I had full lips as a girl. Oh, I got teased like crazy. Because I had full lips as a young girl. And so it was, yeah. And I had to have tough skin, and I fought a lot too because of that. I was defending myself a lot of times. But that attention can lead to promiscuity because it's like, I don't know what somebody shows the slightest interest in you, and you like, oh, okay, and then it goes from there. But this is what I was finding out not too long ago: the identity crisis. It's an identity crisis because we don't know who we were at that point. And then something else that came to me, I'm reading this book, Letting Go of Fear. And it was like your identity in Christ. And it just blew my mind because I didn't know who I was in him. Although I was raised in the church, but I didn't understand that concept. And, you be hearing faith without works is there, and then it's like, okay, becoming an adult and I'm still working through these things. Some people feel like they've lost a lot of time. Well, I'm here to say he is a redeemer, and I'm claiming that in the name of Jesus, that he's a redeemer of that time. Just because I didn't know who I was then don't mean he's not going to give it back to me. But yeah, promiscuity was an attention, attentiveness and attention and all that stuff was something that's just those bad.
Anger is another one. And anger, that fighting, I thought of that when you were talking about the fighting. Anger is another one.
Yeah, anger. For sure. Anger.
It showed up in my jobs, y'all. I used to be that person. I'd be like, what? Y'all what? Oh, I walk up out of here.
Yeah, I've been angry too, Katrina, and it does it. And you said it though, like the identity crisis. But to add to like what hasn't happened, you will get back everything you forfeited. But first, you have to believe, and you have to get to know who you are in Christ. Everything that you forfeited, known and unknown, will be returned to you. And I hope all of us that endured the childhood trauma that led us down the path that brought us here, we will get back everything that we forfeited. It will be returned to us. But because we are who we are today. And Kendra, I hope that you've listened to us like you are younger. And again, I appreciate your perspective at your age. I have a 24-year-old, he'll be 25 next week. And he kind of thinks ahead of his time too, so to speak. But we all will get back everything we forfeited. Love, whatever it is, the tangible and the intangible. So you're right, Katrina, like breaking through that identity crisis, open up doors that you can't even believe.
Yes.
And being in my 40s and breaking through that, I don't have any regrets. Like I really don't, because I feel better than I felt in my 20s. And that's because I'm just me. And I don't worry about who accepts me. I don't worry about who sees me as weak. I get my rest. I take my naps. I turn my phone off. I'm Nicole Strong. And it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else.
That's it.
And that's what I'm so grateful for, and I'm grateful for tonight. I'm so grateful for this.
So I think that would be a good point for us to talk about how we're going to moving forward, redefine strong and reclaim that the definition that we want it to be. So if in no particular order, how would you like to reclaim that definition of strong for Black women tonight?
Knowing that strength also equals weakness. I think, we touched on that in the beginning. So anyone that wasn't tuned in the beginning, just knowing that when we say strong, you define what the word means to you. And so, but being able to be strong means having power, but also being able to show weakness, being able to set boundaries for what you will allow within your own lives, being able to step back and analyze what you need, taking care of self, getting the help self needs, and being able to say no.
Yes. All those are all good.
To piggyback off of Kimberly, I think for me, just becoming my own woman and just showing up authentically in myself and all that good stuff, because that's also strong for me. Like just being who I am without shutting down or dimming my light or whatever.
Good.
You go, Katrina.
Mine would be like what Kimberly was saying, setting the boundaries. And I mean, I've already done the work is the setting the boundaries and being okay with the process of healing and taking that time to heal and being vulnerable and learning to trust again. Because that's a big thing. Being strong enough to set the boundaries, but being able to trust those that have shown trustworthy. Like even I opened up to Tiffany that day. I said, "Girl, I don't even know why, but and she found out my life history in 2 different days."
It's what I do. Like that's just what I do.
And so it was like, but it was that trust. It was that feeling, that spirit that when I met her, and we've met each other before, but having that, she asked one question and she got a whole lot of stuff. But I was willing to be vulnerable, and that's a big step for me because being vulnerable at one point meant I got hurt a lot. Yeah. And that's when I started shutting down and I started shutting off and not being very trusting. But being strong now is like understanding the people. You don't have to like everybody. Everybody ain't got to be your cup of tea. Yeah. And you ain't everybody's cup of tea. And being okay with that. But being able to trust those that are there in that circle and Black women. Mm-hmm. And that's been my thing. I told Tiffany the other day, I said, I prayed for this. I prayed, I said, Lord, I can talk to my Caucasian counterparts about different things, but they will not understand my struggle because they cannot empathize with where I've been and where I'm coming from. They might be able to sympathize on some things, but they'll never understand. And I prayed for this. And I told him to send the people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You said something that I have adopted for my life this year, and that's being vulnerable with myself first, but in exchange, not waiting on someone to validate that. Yeah. Or not waiting on anyone to validate who I am, my Blackness, my quirkiness, or whatever. I'm not waiting on someone to approve me because I approve me and God approves me, and that's all I need. Like I'm good from that point on. So that was good. That was good, Katrina. All of those were good.
And being able to accept help, I think we have a big issue with accepting help. And we just have to be okay and know that sometimes we gotta, rely on other people to help us. We want to be Superwoman, we want to be the super mom, and all these titles that we wear, because we wear a lot of caps, but we have to really, be okay with getting help. Delegating, having people, we have all these people we talk to, build your support system, know who you can go to for this. I remember when I was in grad school for my master's degree, and my professor told me, he asked, have you ever been to therapy? And I'm like, no. And he was like, well, how can you, but I said the way I said it, he was like, so how can you expect people to want to come to you for therapy when you don't feel like you need therapy? Like if you feel like then other people will too. And it dawned on me then, because even at that time, there were so many issues going on in my life, in my family, that, I went to a book, and I was like, okay, well, I can learn how to do this. And I got me some healthy coping skills. But at the end of the day, none of that is the same as getting help. You need help. We need help, y'all.
Right.
Yeah. Be okay with getting help.
Yeah.
So moving forward, like I've done a pretty good job of setting up boundaries, just being me and letting life flow. Like one big thing for me was no forcing. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't happen in my life. If it's any hint of something I have to force, it's not happening. And I just let it flow. And I talk to people, but I also let them know it's your responsibility to get help. I had a lot of healing to do, and I had to do it. And I encourage others to do it, but I'm no longer anyone's punching bag. And for me, I don't care who it is. The first sign of negative energy, or I feel like I'm not enough for you, or you need me to be the old Nicole, I bounce. I do. I leave. because I'm not taking any more beatings, any more emotional beatings from anybody that refuse to face their stuff. I
Yeah.
had to face mine. I had to talk about things that I never wanted to talk about in a room with a psychologist and a psychiatrist, but I did it. And now I walk in that. I walk in everything that I am. Um, at 46, short skirts, short shorts, whatever I feel like that day, leggings and a tank top. I'm me. Like I don't carry the like Katrina. I never wanted to be sexualized by black men. I hated that. I absolutely hated that. I hated the way they looked at women butts and all of that. But I let that go too. They need to heal too. That's just something that I can't even tackle. But I don't worry about what they think when they see me, what another woman thinks when she see me. I hate bras. I wear one when I want to, and when I don't, I don't. Whether I'm at Walmart or in the living room. Like, but I'm me. Like I'm still me, and I'm okay with whoever is not comfortable. I do not make anyone comfortable with me anymore. That is done. That's done. And I'm okay with the people that's good with that. And that's my strength now, is being okay with me and being okay with the people that are okay with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I have my cheerleaders, and I'm a very good cheerleader. You can ask anyone in my life. I'm a very good cheerleader, and I have my cheerleaders, and I'm okay with that. I'm willing to add to it. I'm not a person to say, oh, I don't need any more friends. That's not me either.
Yeah.
The door is open, but you're gonna be right and you're gonna come correct. I'm not a punching bag. So if you need a punching bag, miss me. I'm not a good friend for you, because I'm gonna check you and you're really gonna go there. So that's strength for me moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Along with everything else we said about vulnerability and all of that, rest. I'm big on the rest thing. I'm just really big on getting rest.
yeah.
Really big on that.
Yeah. I think for me is learning how to say goodbye to friends that
Mm-hmm.
I need to say goodbye to. If like if
Mm-hmm.
you don't accept me and all of me, or if you find you trying to correct me on this end and say I shouldn't be thinking like that or talking like that or whatever, you're not a good friend. No, no, it's time to go. And and I don't mind. Like I don't pick up your phone call either. I let you know that relationship has ended. So at this point in time in my life, you either accept all of me or none. Any last words, lady? Any last words at the audience? If you guys have questions, please do drop them in the comment section. We're going to kind of shift into the closing out. We're coming to a close. This has been wonderful. I thank each and every one of you for creating this space. I don't think I said that in the beginning, but this is a space where we can be completely honest with ourselves first, and then honest with each other on a platform for Black women by Black women. That's what we're doing. We're tackling those topics and those issues that we just don't talk about and need to talk about. So
We have a question, Tiffany.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Let's go, Adrienne.
Okay, I'd like to read that question for you. It says, what would you ladies say would be a good first step to take in facing the trauma and pain that you have endured, when you have kept it bottled up for so long? So what would be the first step that you would take in facing that trauma or that pain?
Acknowledging it and seeing it for what it is, and even if you have to accept your part in it, but at first acknowledging it and going from there. And because acceptance and stuff, that's the first step. It's like it's a process. It's a process in that. And then seeing where you allow things to happen when you could have stopped, or you could have shifted, however it was, but you allow certain things, but acknowledging it, taking it, accepting it, and then turning that thing around.
And of course, the counselor here is going to tell you that, once you've accepted it and been able to acknowledge it honestly, seek professional help, because some traumas are so great that we don't know how to live outside of the trauma. We don't know how to be a survivor because we're so used to being the victim, and that role kind of defines our lives. And so once you get to a point where you are ready to heal and want to be a survivor and have a life and not let that trauma define who you are or what type of person you will become, I do think that, you know, getting the professional help you need to help you navigate that new turn in life is definitely going to be key.
And Tanisha, you've taken the first step by asking that question. Like, you want help, you want to, whether it's you or you're asking for someone, Tanisha, I'm not sure, but the first step in that question, in facing the trauma and the pain that you've endured and kept bottled up for so long, because it's bottled up, baby, but it's coming out in other ways.
Yep.
In your life or whoever's life is coming out. So when Katrina said acknowledgement, like, to me tonight, you acknowledged it. And so my hat's off to you for even acknowledging that and typing that question and moving forward, you know, talking to someone that you can trust and have them to guide you. Okay, it's you. So you've taken she said it's her. So you've taken the first step in getting help. Like, you want to release that. And that's so awesome, because your life will change, and we're all living witnesses that your life will change and new doors will open for you, because somehow it's holding you back. And I speak that from experience. It's jobs or things that people would, even this situation, like a year ago, I would not have done this because of the things that my family has said about me, because of the lies that's been told. Katrina, I think I was a liar too, because of the lies that's been told on me. And I felt like I couldn't really live my truth because people believed them. So I thought, you know, but so you know, once you take that step to heal that and to let it all go, doors will open for you and your life will change. So I hope that you'll take that step and that you'll reach out to someone that you can talk to, that can refer you to a licensed psychologist or a counselor, you know, to get it out. Once you get it out, baby, your life is going to change. And we can all attest to that.
I just want to add. I saw a post earlier, and this lady, she said adjusting is not healing. So when you're trying to address something, you know, you can't take yourself out of one thing and throw yourself into another thing to avoid talking about it and sitting with it. Like Nicole said, and like Kim said, and like Kat said, like, you have to acknowledge it, seek professional help, and just go in with it. You can't, you know, take yourself out of. You can't get busy in the church, or you can't start throwing yourself in relationships. Just sitting with yourself and being vulnerable with yourself. And if, you know, if you are a Christian, or if that's, you know, your own religion, or whatever you believe, being vulnerable with God as well, because I mean, He knows you. He
Yeah.
knows all of you.
Ladies, I think
And
those were some excellent responses. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say we have another question.
Look, before we ask that question, one of the other questions came up, and that's, how do you know when it's a good time for you to see a therapist?
When you start asking those questions.
Yeah. I was thinking like how to say that, but
I
yeah.
didn't my thing off of mute fast enough.
Yeah, but when you ask the question, like, I think it's time, you know. And it's
When you
not a bad thing. I
No.
mean, it's not a bad thing if you even think you need to see a therapist and you can go see a therapist, go see a therapist. It's not going to hurt you. That's my point. It will not hurt you. It'll
Absolutely.
help you in some type of way. It may open up the door and you realize you want to be a therapist. So
Absolutely.
whatever the reason that you thought that, follow through.
Yeah. Yeah.
when you feel like your problem is bigger than you can handle, and you feel like you've tried everything and nothing is helping, then you need to seek some professional help.
Absolutely. And when you start seeing your life go in these cycles, and you're always in the same relationship, even though it's a different person,
Yes.
yeah, it's time to see a therapist. And I think Kim touched at it. I'm a counselor. We both actually graduated from the same program. I don't tell people to do something that I don't do myself. I'm in therapy now, and I couldn't feel better. So
Right.
I definitely
Right.
advocate, hey, go seek
Yeah.
someone. Even the therapists need therapists.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And most of your favorite therapists have a therapist. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, ladies. Listen, another question that came up. What if you feel like your counselor doesn't hear you?
Mm.
Or I guess your therapist doesn't hear you. What should
Fire. Get
Change,
another one.
change therapists.
let me
I'm
tell
sure
you,
your health insurance network is big. Change immediately. Don't
it's
wait for
about
another appointment. If you feel like your counselor doesn't hear you, switch. That's
Yes.
the answer to that. There's no way around that. Don't go back and ask them why or you feel like they were not listening. Go with your gut and
mhm.
change.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
that
the answer to
self-care
that.
part. You even in therapy, because all therapists aren't the same. All therapists, you might not mesh with, you might not build that alliance with that you feel like is supportive or helpful in your growth. If that is the case, then you go ahead and leave, find you another one. There are so many therapists in any given area. I promise you, it's at least about 1,000, and I'm
Right.
not exaggerating. So, but you have to find one that will work for you. Not, some people may refer you to one, and it's okay to go to them and just kind of meet with them and see. But if you feel like it's not going to be a good fit, there is nothing wrong with you leaving and finding you another.
And I agree, Candace. I see your comment. Mental health among African American is one of the biggest taboos that need to be broken. You are absolutely right, and that is
Yes.
one reason for this tonight. You are absolutely right. Like that that's just that's huge
Yeah.
because we do. We need mental health centers on every corner, like we have churches where I'm from,
Yeah.
because
That's true.
church is not there.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Church is not therapy. Church
Absolutely.
sometimes becomes a coping mechanism. It
Yeah.
becomes something that you do to avoid who you are and what you have going on with you. So yes, it is a taboo. Like just saying, she not right in the head. It's not enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how she is. That's not enough anymore. And as long as I have breath, I will be an advocate for mental health in our community.
Yes.
So I want a mental health facility in our community for our children, so that they're not all on Ritalin or Adderall or whatever it is now. I said no to that as a young parent for my oldest son, and when he went to therapy as an adult, his psychiatrist told him that was the best decision I could have made. But it's so many parents that say yes at that table, and it's not what they need.
Yeah.
Something, it could be something else. I'm not saying ADHD don't exist. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if a child is acting out, it's not always that they need meds. They need therapy.
Absolutely.
They need to
But it's
talk. They need a safe place.
but
I
it's
think
So
because
Kimberly's trying to say something. I'm not sure.
right,
oh,
yeah, because it's a quick fix, and that's for
right,
within our community. We want everything to just we want to deal with it and be done. We don't want to do the work. It takes work to reshape behavior, to relearn behaviors. It
Right.
takes work to understand what I've been doing wrong and how to fix that. Everything a pill can't solve, but that's what we want. We want to put them on medicine and then not have to get any more of these phone calls, or we just so it could be over with. And that's
right.
what part the counseling helps with, because it helps you learn the behavior, how to fix it, what to do, gives you actual solutions to problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even with piggybacking off of that, learning your children, knowing your children. I was that parent, being a young parent. I was that parent. They was like, it was a teacher that was like, I just needed to know who cared. I was a parent that was taking off from work, showing up at my kids' school every other day. I
Yes.
take lunch breaks and all that stuff, because what I wasn't going to do was somebody telling me that my child did this, and I'm like, no. I know how they act and how they interact, and of course, I took the time with them. I was tired. I was in school, But I took the time, and when they wanted to put my daughter on some type of medicine, all because she's talked low. She was very low talking. They said something was wrong with her. I said, no, when she raises her voice, then we got a problem. But you're not going to put her on something just because she talks low. And then my son, he had anger issues, and we figured that out. He was 12 years old, and I remember I took him to Pine Grove because I said I couldn't figure it out. He needed somebody else to say there's nothing wrong with him. He just needs to learn how to express himself. When we found that, oh hallelujah, we made it. So no medicine for him. We just did therapy, talking, and after that is when I created the circle for them. Because now, okay, I see y'all can't talk to mama most of the time. Let's figure something else out that when we're at home we can do this.
And it's not, and I do want to add, because sometimes, you know, you can have a mental illness that is really serious and you may need medication, you know, because there is a serious imbalance in your brain. You know, that's when we go into schizophrenia, bipolar. Those are huge diagnoses in the African American community, but we tend to self-medicate. You know, we can't see the symptoms or the behaviors associated with those disorders because they're either high or drunk, and we associate it with the substances. But we have to be afraid. We have to stop. I mean, we have to stop being afraid of getting actual treatment for whatever it is that we have. Because I promise you, there are so many people, when they get the help that they need, that are high functioning schizophrenics, that are high functioning.
Right.
You know, you have to invest the time and the effort in yourself. And that's why I said, you know, we will do all that for our physical health. You know, we're at every doctor's appointment. Something's wrong. I got a lump here, not here, and all this. But then you have all these other things mentally going on, but we don't put the time and effort into seeing about those. We have to stop being afraid of getting that label. You know, we all look at that label. If you need the help, get the help. Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about what somebody may say if they found out. It's not their life. You want to be healthy for whoever you love and that loves you. And the only way to do that is by getting the help that you need.
And oftentimes, like what Kimberly's saying about the mental health leads to the substance abuse, the lack of attention to the mental health, and the unhealed trauma can open the door to a mental health issue. Trauma can cause schizophrenia. You're not born with these things. So if the trauma is addressed, then you can prevent mental health issues, but that's still going to therapy and having a safe place to talk. So that's a goal of mine. So if it's anyone on here that's where I'm from that wants to help with that, to create a safe place for the young girls in Pelahatchie, I'm here for that. I want to do that. And it would definitely be a safe place, and nothing outside of safety would be tolerated. So if it's anyone that wants to join hands with me on that, because unhealed trauma does cause mental health issues, and unhealed trauma leads to substance abuse. People are not born addicts unless their parents are addicts. That's something different when you're born, you know, to a drug addict parent. That's not what we're talking about here. But adults don't just become addicts. They do not. They do not. So it's something. It could be something. I know it's a genetic thing too that you can pass on, like addictive behavior and things like that. But oftentimes you can look at someone's journey and you can tell where something went wrong. You can tell where, okay, this caused this. This is not an addictive behavior. We're not dealing with something that he was born into, per se, on the physical side.
Even if it's hereditary, though, even if they are already predisposed to it, it still requires a trigger. It requires something to trigger that onset. So again, that unresolved, those trauma, those things, something happened that triggered that onset. So people can be predisposed to schizophrenia and never have one.
That's true.
Because they were never triggered. When you have that trigger, it opens up. There's the line. I tell people all the time, it's a thin line between sane and insane. You know, All it takes is one situation to be that trigger for you. But when that happens, you have to be able to say, okay, something is different about me. I need some help understanding what's going on and getting the help you need, and not making the people around you suffer, or making yourself suffer because you want to remain silent, or you want to have us keep this secret and not, I can go on and on. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Awesome.
And can I add one thing, Tiffany, that we don't talk about sometimes?
Okay.
When we say trauma, we often think about sexual trauma, but poverty in itself is trauma. Poverty creates trauma. When you are raised in a survival mentality, it creates trauma, and you start making decisions from that. So poverty is something else that contributes to mental health issues, and we have to talk about that as well, because when and we've seen that play out over the past few months with the protests, and that some people say the protest violence started, and it starts in poor communities because of trauma. It's because of poverty. Poverty is a trigger, like Kimberly said as well. Poverty is a trigger. So imagine if they're predisposed to something and they're born in poverty, and then being born into poverty, you're raised in a survival mentality, where you're raised to, well, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. That's not okay.
Absolutely.
It's not okay.
Absolutely. Those are all good. I know we got to wrap up. We've been on here for a while. That just means we need to do this again.
Yes.
Because there have been a lot of questions that we didn't expect. But if you're on here and listening still, if you have any last words that you would like to ask any of the panelists, please do so. And while we're doing that, I think, Adrienne, did you have anything else?
No, I didn't have any other question, but one thing we just kind of want to end on is just for you ladies, if you guys would just leave us just one, if you just had one motto or one comment that you could leave behind for young Black ladies coming up today, what would that thing be? What word or impact would you leave on their lives tonight?
That you're more than enough. You're more than enough. So being that they're more than enough, do what's necessary to make sure that you're okay.
And my words are, it's okay not to be okay.
Beautiful.
I think I would leave them with understanding that, like I've said earlier, hurt people. And if you care about yourself and those around you that you know love you and care about you, then do what you need to do for them.
I think I would leave them with you are worth it. Every struggle, every pain, every part of the journey, you're worth it all. You're seeing your future on the other side of it.
And I think her name is Kayla. She did ask a question. I'm gonna be really brief. She said, why would a Black woman go against another one? Jealousy, insecurity. You have something. She sees your worth. She sees your value. She sees your power. And it could be jealous of how everyone around you loves you. So it doesn't have to be about how you look or anything tangible. It could be other people like you too much. And so, but that's another subject. We could talk about that another time. But I didn't want you to feel like we ignored your question, but that's usually it.
Yes. I want to end, I don't think I said in the beginning, but I do have a giveaway for those who are still left standing. I don't know if you're all able to see the lovely shirts that we have on. These are made. Oh, yay, good pictures. I actually designed those shirts myself, and they are for sale, but for the purpose of tonight, I want to give that away to someone. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see exactly how you can enter the drawing in order to win one. I'm so excited about it, so excited. Because in the process, I'm releasing my website, and you can catch that, drtiffanyross.com. And in order to be entered to win that, you have to subscribe. So let me go back. On that home button, there's this nice little thing that comes up where it says, let's get started. You click on that and it'll take you to the subscribe button where you enter your first and last name and your email. So you put all that information in, push subscribe. I'll get the notification that you entered. You'll also get an email saying that you entered and a nice little welcome message from me. And I will come back on live. I'll give you guys a few days and I'll come back on live and let you know. We'll do a little drawing and everything. Who will win that shirt for tonight. I appreciate everyone that have hung in there. I didn't even talk about what I did. I'm releasing my website, but why? So here, I am Dr. Tiffany Ross. I am a life consultant. I'm a marriage and family therapist trained, and I specialize in personal development and emotional healing because I believe we just can't go nowhere in our future successfully if we don't take that time to develop who we are as a person and to heal from the inside out. So I specialize in relationships. I help young women who have experienced toxic relationships learn how to create healthier relationship patterns. What I'll do is I'll teach you how to set appropriate expectations and boundaries in relationships so you can begin creating a more fulfilled relationship with yourself first, because that's important. Like, you have to first love yourself in order to love someone else. And then with other people around you. And guys, those relationships can be with your job, with other people in an opposite sex, whatever. Relationships vary depending on your particular life. But I do offer a free consultation, free 15-minute consultation. Now, past that 15 minutes, you're going to have to pay me because, like I said, I am a trained marriage and family therapist with a PhD. So past that 15 minutes, time does start adding up. But I do offer that free with you. You can go to work with me, enter your information there. Tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, consultations, speaking engagement, workshops, seminars, whatever. Leave me that message there and I will get back with you. And if you have any questions, do let me know. I'm so excited. I'm excited about what's going on and just this platform in general. Any last words from anybody?
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Thank
you. And thank you. I love you guys. I appreciate this so much.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.